Hi, I'm Jenny Robertson, founder of the On Purpose Woman Global Community and founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman magazine. I'm here to share the speaker portion of our Connections Over Coffee gathering of the On Purpose Woman Global Community. Christine Kloser is speaking on how to lead like a modern day goddess and thrive in times of great change. Master facilitator, award-winning publisher, best-selling author, and intuitive guide, Christine catalyzes inspired women business owners to gain clarity and confidence to live their truth and fulfill their purpose in these globally expansive times. She is known for delivering a heart-forward, truth-telling activation that empowers women to awaken to new possibilities for themselves, their clients, their business, and the world. Christine, welcome. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today. And you are on.
Well, thank you so much, Ginny, for having me. It's like this day, this moment, this meeting with these women truly does feel like a full circle moment for me. So thank you so much for inviting me here today. Um, and before I jump into sharing any of the, pieces and parts of what I want to share, which may be like from the notes that I wrote down or might be completely intuitively guided, we don't know yet. But I first just want to like speak to this word goddess, right? Because way back when I think I took my really first big leadership role, I had no idea what the goddess really even was. I just knew that as a graduating senior from a private conservative Catholic college in Providence, Rhode Island, that I was destined. I was born for something more. There was this day, I remember it distinctly. I had put on my pantyhose and put on my double-breasted skirt suit and my my kitten-heeled black, patent leather pumps and gone to one more interview to pretend that I was so excited to work for a bank or an insurance company. And my soul was dying. I didn't know then that it was that inner essence calling me, but that night, over a pitcher of Miller Lite beer at one of my college bars, I turned to my girlfriend and I said, "Do you want to get out of here?" And she's like, "What, like go to the other bar down the street?" I'm like, "No, like get out of here. Get out of this status quo. Get out of this, that we're supposed to like go work for a bank or for an insurance company." And no offense to those of you who love working at banks or insurance companies or things of the sort. But the unknown goddess in me was calling me to something more. Before like it was only a few years ago, honestly, in my mid 50s, that I could say the word goddess in relation to myself and not cringe. So if you cringe at the word, don't worry, you're not alone. Um, but in that moment, I'm like, no, get out of here. And we did. We decided over that pitcher of beer with my leadership that we were going to hop in a car and drive 3,000 miles from Providence, Rhode Island to San Diego, California to live somewhere that we had never been, where we knew no one, where we had no jobs, no place to live, and we were on our adventure. Except neither of us had a car, at least a car we would trust to get us cross country. So we had to ask another friend to come join us because she just had a brand new red Volkswagen Fox. And we got like, the leader in me got her to say yes to this wild adventure. And we hopped in a car and drove 3,000 miles away. And it was then really that I think my soul, the spirit, the higher power that was guiding Christine, formerly Iannone, now Christine Kloser, on this journey, like knew I was born for something more. As you listening to this right now, I imagine if you're paying attention and resonating with anything that I am saying, you probably have that feeling inside of you that yes, indeed, you were born for something more. So that journey, getting in that car and driving to California, led to me eventually opening up my own business. I was in the fitness industry. It led to me establishing this organization in Los Angeles called the Network for Empowering Women Entrepreneurs, where our tagline was ignite your business and fuel your soul. And that was back in 2000. So we were pioneers together, Jenny, back in the day. It led me to creating, I can't even believe I found this today, but the first women's retreat I ever hosted was in 1997, transformational women's retreat called the Vision Weekend. I was just going through my drawers today, my file drawer, and happened to find the flyer from my very first, I didn't even know I still had this, but that call to lead for something more, to do something different, to break out of the box, to fulfill my divine purpose, which looked like unconsciously just getting in a car and driving to California on a soul level, on a spirit level, on a why I'm here level. Something else was happening. And I really consider that moment that I had the courage, enrolled a couple of girlfriends, and led us on this adventure cross country was sort of the first time that I led like a goddess, not even knowing yet that I was one or that I could be one or that I would ever even be comfortable with that word. Some of you know that that journey led to me helping lots of women express themselves by helping them write and publish transformational books. I don't know, trained tens of thousands of authors, personally published nearly 700. Most of those books were written by women, stories written by women. So when I think about leading like a modern day goddess, I want you to get your pen out because there are three things that I'm going to be talking about today. But before we jump into that, I'm actually going to invite you just for a moment, close your eyes with me. Just take a deep breath. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel the air, that life-giving air, just flowing in and out of your lungs. Just let yourself land for a moment. If you really tune into your breath, and you feel that life source energy inside of you, right? This moment of quiet, of stillness, of breath is how you allow yourself to connect with that goddess within, that powerful, wise, light, emanating, divine being. So just take another breath. And then you can open your eyes and find your pen now that you're feeling just maybe a little bit more connected to that divine feminine essence within you. So the first thing that I want to talk about is this word grace. Grace. Because if we are going to lead, if you are going to lead like a modern day goddess, it's essential that you understand the container in which you breathe, the container in which you love, the force, the energy, the unfolding, the impulse that expresses as you, as the incredibly beautiful, divine, feminine being that you are. Because grace to me is when you're willing to step into sort of like that higher perspective of seeing the reason, the flow, the way things happen, even the fact that you're listening to this right now, hearing my words. Maybe you stopped and paid attention if it was crossing your Facebook feed, or you chose to show up live as I was doing this talk, right? Grace got you here. Grace is that river of love, that river of growth, that river of purpose and meaning and impact and why we're on this planet in the first place, right? We are not here to be separated and divided and challenged and struggling and divisive and all of those things. The true impulse of life is growth, is expansion, is love. So if you're going to lead like a modern day goddess, like you really want to connect with this essence of grace and understanding and knowing that all things are happening for that good, no matter how they look on the human plane, right? There is a level of trust, call it, God, source, Jesus, divine plan, whatever you believe in, right? There's an aspect of needing to surrender and understand that so that you can carry that vibration forward into the planet. Because it is very difficult to lead like a goddess and lead yourself forward and help those women that you are here to help or the people that you are here to help if you are not connected to this thing, this energy that is moving through you, that is calling you, that is helping guide you, that has me sitting over a pitcher of beer in 1988, following an impulse that says, get out of here, break the molds, go do what you're here to do. Grace is how we move through that. It shows up as intuition, right? Intuition. How often do you get a little nudge and then leave it alone instead of taking action on it? Right? Grace is what helps you pay attention and listen and turn up your radar of being more in the flow and more in the ease and more in the creativity and more in the joy and more in that energetic state of being aligned with what you're here to do, who you're here to be, how you're meant to serve, how you're meant to impact and ripple out into the world. So that's the first thing that I want us to talk about, right? Because the process can be challenging. We have our ups, we have our downs, we have our ins, we have our outs. We've all, I mean, right? We could all spend probably days talking about our own stories, what we've lived through. But if we can look back and see the grace in it to get us here today, to be looking ahead at how can I lead like a goddess, especially in these times of great change, right? We have to surrender to that grace, to trusting the process, to the unfolding in order to be able to do that and be that light and beaconess of love that we are here to be in the world. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. Next thing that I want to talk about is a word that sometimes when I use it, people are like, yes. And sometimes this word for some is like, ew. So just like know that however you respond to the next thing we're going to talk about is totally okay because you're having your experience and that's the experience you're meant to have. But the word is power. Power. Because to lead like a modern day goddess, right, you need to embrace and understand your own power. I am not talking at all about power over, right? I am talking about power from within. To know your own strength, to know your own power. And how do you do that? By knowing your own self, right? To lead like a goddess, you have to know yourself. You've got to be willing to lift up those rocks that you may have tucked things under for months or years or decades, right? You've got to be willing to pull back the curtain, to really look at the patterns, the behaviors, like the things that have been running you for many years, perhaps unconsciously. We need to bring those things into our consciousness because until we can fully own ourselves, all of ourselves, I'm talking about the good, the bad, the ugly, the wounded, the wise, the fearful, the confident, right? What are some other opposites that I'm thinking of right now? I have like a whole list in my mind just a moment ago. But you get what I'm saying? It's like we are all of that. We are the wise and we are the wounded, right? We are the magnificent and we are like the timid and scared sometimes. And if we're ever going to truly be able to stand in our own innate power and lead like a goddess out in the world, we have to know who that woman is, inside and out. Because any of those parts that have maybe been tucked under, swept under the carpet, tucked under the stone, put away to deal with later, they're still there. And while you might not be consciously aware of it, those things can just be like little, power sucks, like just siphoning off your true innate energy. Because when you can stand firmly in who you are, right where you are, and everything it took for you to get exactly here, that is where you can stand most fully in your power. That is where you are most able to trust yourself, to take that action, to do that thing that maybe you were like, oh, I don't know that I can do that. Like me giving this talk today is one example of that. For the last 20 years, I have been known as the book, a transformational book coach and publisher. And yes, that is part of what I do, right? As how I've executed part of my gifts in the last 20 years. But to step out of that and to say, actually, there's so much more to Christine Kloser than helping people write and publish transformational books. And those who have worked with me closely know there is a lot more there. But this talk, right, it took for me to say, I know who I am. And I, had to dig under the rocks and scrape out some of the dust from the carpet to say, I need to step out there and show up as who I am. And in the world right now, I've been gathering goddesses in some capacity, even before that pitcher of beer back in 1988. I had been leading women in various ways. And it's like, now is the time. So when you can just embrace and accept and love and embody all of who you are and everything it took to get you here now, that is the kind of power, that inner power, that sovereignty that the world needs now. They need you, the women, the goddesses, to stand so firmly in who you are as that energetic presence of love and light and healing and possibility, because there's a whole lot of that's going down and going to be going down that has the majority of the planet a little wobbly in what's happening, which is why your strength, your sovereignty, your stand in who you are as you embrace all of you is what the world needs now. And it is how you thrive in these times of great change, by being firm in who you are. Yeah. Because when you are standing firm in that power, you can take those risks, whether it's to be more visible, whether it's to speak your truth more, whether it's to write that book and have the courage to do that. Whatever your next step is, that sovereignty, that inner power, that inner strength, that inner knowing and loving of all of those parts is the fuel that lights that fire and moves you forward in the world, and where others can really kind of lean into and receive the gift of your power, the gift of your presence, your authentic, true presence. So now that we've gone through grace and power, I want to talk about resilience as number 3. So you want to write down that word, right? Resilience. My definition of the word resilience, I didn't look up the Webster's definition or any definition, but my definition is just the ability to rise again and again and keep going, right? And in these times, it might mean that you have to be resilient 100 times a day. Who knows? In some situations, it might feel 100 times in an hour that you need to pull, yourself back up and remember who you are. Because if we forget that larger plan and if we wobble off from inner power and something happens, it is easy sometimes to just fall into, that thing and go down that rabbit hole. But to lead like a modern day goddess, that resilience has to come in. You've got, like, when you hear yourself going down that rabbit hole of whatever it might be, it's time to stop yourself in your own tracks, to notice where you were going, how it doesn't serve, and help yourself return to the truth of who you are, the truth of what you know, right? And to be willing to actually make a different choice. Because to lead like a goddess, right, we're going to make some choices that are going to be so amazing and lead to things that are so much better than we ever could have imagined. And we're also going to make some choices that are like, okay, this was a learning choice, right? Y'all know what learning choices. You get out the pick and you get out the axe and you start mining for the gold in the middle of whatever the mess is that choice created, right? But we can't stop. If you're listening to this right now, again, and resonating with what I'm saying, you are here to help others through these times of great change. And if you give up, right, because it just gets too hard, or it's whatever, one more thing that you have to do, or that it feels overwhelming and I can't do it, right? The world doesn't get your gift. The people that you are meant to serve don't receive your gift. So resilience is a key component of being willing and able to lead like a goddess and thrive in these times of great change. Now, don't get me wrong, resiliency does not mean pushing, and I'm speaking from personal experience here, right? It doesn't mean pushing, 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 right? I don't know about you, but before I decided to make some pretty big shifts in my life and in my business, the visual that I would use to describe how it felt to do what I was doing in my business at the time, sometimes it felt like pushing a boulder uphill on roller skates, right? So instead of continuing to push, I had to step back for a moment, right? In order for me to be resilient in the direction that I am intended to be going, meant that I couldn't just keep pushing the same boulder uphill on roller skates. Resiliency meant I, I have to be willing to reconsider things. I have to be willing to look through a different lens. I have to be willing to ask deeper questions, right? More difficult questions. I have to be willing to do the difficult thing, because that well of depth is where the resilience has come from, to be like, okay, I've taken not a total hiatus, but I've taken a hiatus a bit from pushing, 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 because I wanted to come back, like not fake resilience, not temporary resilience, not, surfacey resilience. I wanted to come back with a resilience, like from the depths of my soul. So for you, as you look forward and moving, whatever you're moving forward, however you're meant to lead, like the goddess that you want to be in your life, whether you resonate with the word or not, it's just that amazing, incredible, divine feminine presence that you are, right? Just think about this word resilience and continue to just ask and inquire, right, into those questions of, what is it that is going to help me feel buoyant and joyous and inspired and excited. And if resilience means that you need to take a little bit of a break, then take a little bit of a break so you can come back strong and true and aligned. Yeah, because grace, power, and that really deep resilience, not just go, go, go energy, which I used to be addicted to, right? Broken the addiction. And now, like, resilience can come from a different place. And that's what I want for you as well. I'm sure we all know the quote from the Dalai Lama says, the world will be saved by Western women. And I believe it's going to be saved by the Western woman who knows who she is in a divine sense of the world, who understands and embraces that she is a part of this great unfolding of humanity. And it's why you're here on this earth now. And I believe that it's the Western woman who gathers, right, with other women, because that is part of how we stay strong, is through the power of sacred sisterhood. And it's how we're going to help create that lasting impact, for ourselves, for our families, for our communities, for our businesses, and ultimately their ripple effect out in the world. So, yeah, this is how you can navigate these times of uncertainty with confidence, when you can lean into grace, power, and resilience. Will help you navigate. We've got a big shift happening in the world next year, and we need you. We need you. So keep going, keep growing, keep healing, keep leading, keep expanding, keep deepening, keep gathering, and keep being who you are here to be, because there has never been a time, I don't think, where we've needed your presence more. So thank you so much for being here. I hope that some of this has helped you in your journey of learning how to lead like a modern day goddess and thrive in times of great change.
Didn't mean to do that, Christine. I didn't mean to replace you.
No worries.
To
All
join
good.
you here. Oh, wow. I can't even express how much I needed to hear your words today. Thank you. Thank you. And I want to ask the women who are here on Zoom with us to unmute yourselves for just a moment. And so we can applaud and let Christine know how much we appreciated her message today. So here we go, y'all. Shout it out. Woo! Thank you. Wow. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. And I really, really, really love this version of Christine Kloser. So let me tell you, I was thinking, you gave me 3 titles for this talk, and I think one might have been about books. It's like, no, I want that goddess thing. I don't know what you're going to talk about, but that's what I want for all of us. So thank you again. And I hope you'll come back and see us another time. And I want
Thank
to thank
you.
anyone who's watching this live or the replay on our YouTube channel. Please check out all the other women on our channel who share their gifts, their wisdom, their expertise to inspire you to move forward, whether it's with your business or other aspects of your life. If you want to join us for one of our Zoom gatherings or an in-person in Columbia, Maryland, or Tallahassee, Florida, you can go to my website, opwgc.com, and click and find out all about the community and the magazine. And that link is in the text of this video. Thanks for watching.